All right, last Friday night, millions of us watched in horror the videos of Memphis police officers beating 29-year-old Tyre Nichols. It brought up emotions, particularly for black people, that many of us still can't shake almost a week later. So mental health expert from Memorial Health, Mary Jo Horton, is here to help us unpack this latest example of what many of us are calling, I've been calling, black trauma.
Absolutely.
All right, so I didn't want to watch the video, Mary Jo. I didn't want to do it. I was on vacation at the time. I was with my mom. We did wind up watching it when it was released. I did that in part because of my job, and you know, I need to see that. In part because I wanted to bear witness to it. I thought that was important. But there are some people who just couldn't watch it.
Right.
And can't watch it.
Absolutely.
So talk about this thing, you call it vicarious trauma.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are avoiding that. Yeah.
So when you're watching something so violent and you're watching something so horrific, it starts to trigger the brain the same way you would be triggered if you were having a direct trauma response. The images get coded, our automatic nervous system starts to go. The things that happen in trauma when we don't feel safe and we feel under attack also can happen when we're watching and we're witnessing those same videos.
You can have a physical response.
You can
to
have
that.
a physical response. People talk about the same response: nausea, headache, shaking, sweating. Feelings of terror and unsafety can absolutely happen by watching and witnessing that.
And certainly crying, but not just crying. You know, like you said, much more than that.
Absolutely. You know, it's, you know, there's crying when there's sadness. You can cry when you're happy. And these kinds of cries, it's crying as your body is not feeling like it's able to connect with safety.
Yes. Okay. That is and that's a deep cry.
Yes.
All right. So the video is a reminder for many of us in the black community that we do not feel safe, we do not feel protected in our own communities and just out in the world. We call it driving while black, living while black, bird watching while black. What can that do to you, living with that feeling over a long period of time?
So what happens to your body and your mental health is you never get a sense of feeling relaxed. Your brain is in a constant state of survival, hypervigilance, you know, thoughts that are, sometimes people even feel like they don't know whether to trust their thoughts are real or not, or what's happening or not, because they're living in an environment and what they feel and they know to be true, they're being told is not really happening. And so it's hard for the brain to even navigate. So you almost get a lot of same symptoms of PTSD, of that hypervigilance, the over-awareness, the not being able to settle down. It can have a detrimental effect, and you see long-term negative physical health outcomes.
Yeah. We've talked about gaslighting, and you brought up something where we're seeing something, but we're told that that's not a thing.
Right.
Black people as a whole, there's a lot of gaslighting for us because we try to talk about our experiences and it gets downplayed.
Right.
That's traumatic.
It's traumatic, and what happens is at some point people then give up on trying to have conversation.
Yeah.
You know, everything that we talk about, the power of the conversation. Well, if I keep trying to talk about my experience and what my feedback is that that's being told is not happening, at some point people become disenfranchised from even engaging in conversation.
Yeah, so people need to really be mindful of that. When someone's telling you their truth.
Yes.
Do not downplay that
or
deny them that. Yeah. All right, so we want to, you know, at least try and have some optimism here, but I got to be honest, I don't have a lot of hope when it comes to this issue. And I hate to even say that out loud publicly for people to hear, because you're supposed to have hope. I don't have a lot, but you say there are some things that we can do to sort of navigate this and find growth and positive impact.
Yes, absolutely. I think that even being able to say that is so powerful. I'm glad that you said it, because validation of where people are the biggest things that connect us.
Yeah.
Can I feel validated in how I feel? Because once we get to validation, now we can talk about how to use pain, anger, sadness, and fear in a way that drives connection and change. What is, you know, disheartening is when people's sadness and pain, they get stuck in it.
Yes, I've been stuck in it.
So how do we find ways to continue to connect? I think this conversation, you know, and sharing and sitting in spaces with folks, even though it's uncomfortable, those are how we continue to reunite hope, because the conversation's what's powerful.
Continuing to connect. Social media, that's not a great way to do that, is it?
No, and we've talked about this before. People think that I'm communicating with you if I comment on something you've posted. Well, I'm not. I'm putting on a persona and I'm putting something out there that I might not say to your face. Connection is looking at somebody, hearing someone's voice, being able to feel, or not feel, because I think that that's the wrong term. I can't understand how people feel. What I can do is I can sit in a space of being able to be emotionally present with somebody. And so how do we find ways to be emotionally present so that we can truly have a space of trying to heal in terms of learning? You know, the whole idea of validating experience is to learn what somebody else is going through.
And you know, I think that applies, and we've got to wrap up here. We could talk about this the whole show, but I think that applies to not just this situation with Black people, that applies with LGBTQ people, people of different religions, to be in that space of learning and being open to hearing their experience.
Absolutely. I don't have to know and understand what somebody's experience is like, but what I can do is I can sit in validation, I can be emotionally present, and I can ask with a genuine concern of understanding.
Mary Jo, thank you so much for coming and having this conversation. I know we pivoted at the last minute to do this. We're going to continue the conversation about the trauma of watching that video tomorrow, where I'm going to have a group of Black mothers come in and talk about why they could or could not watch that video. So tune in tomorrow for that. Tina?